Chapter 34. A Carpet of Rats. Alfred was stationed at the periscope as the submarine snaked its way along the River Thames. Being underwater was a perfect cover for these revolutionaries. On HMS Sceptre, they could move around London undetected. Soon the submarine had reached the Houses of Parliament. This gargantuan Gothic structure sat right on the River Thames. For hundreds of years it had been a place where politicians met to debate the important issues of the day. Now there were no politicians, no elections, no democracy. As a result, the Houses of Parliament were empty and had fallen into total disrepair. The only part of the building that did still function was the clock tower, home of the bell known as Big Ben. This chimed on every hour, telling the people of London the time. Now that it was dark all day and all night, it was hard to tell if 3 chimes meant 3 in the afternoon or 3 in the morning. Still, it was one of the very last symbols of the old order that was still working. If Big Ben still struck on the hour every hour, it gave the illusion that life was somehow normal. It was important to the Lord Protector who kept the Houses of Parliament under armed guard at all times. "Big Ben in sight, Captain," spluttered Alfred. "Excellent work, sailor," replied the old Queen. "Now, ladies, there are revolutionaries all over London, all over Britain, awaiting our signal. When Big Ben chimes 13 times, that will send a message for miles around that the moment has finally arrived for revolution." "Revolution!" chimed in the old dears together. "I will lead a team of 2 ladies, good and true, to the base of the clock tower." The old lady unrolled a diagram of the tower. "From the intelligence we have gathered, the so-called Royal Guards are stationed here, here and here." With her gloved finger, she indicated a number of places at the base and the top of the tower. "Our mission is to seize control of the bell tower itself as the stroke of midnight. A moment too soon, and the guard will raise alarm. A moment too late, and we will have missed our chance. Instead of 12 strikes, we'll change the clock's workings to strike 13. Once safely back here in HMS Sceptre, we'll be ready to launch the orb." "Orb?" asked Alfred. The old Queen winked mischievously and paced over to a huge metal container. She whisked off a cover to reveal an antique torpedo with orb emblazoned on it. "Oh my goodness, Grammy!" exclaimed the boy. All of a sudden he was terrified these old dears might blow themselves up, taking him with them. "Beauty, isn't she?" said Grammy, patting the torpedo a little too hard for Alfred's liking. "This will blow a ruddy great hole in the side of the Tower of London, freeing all those innocent folk locked up there." "I hope you know what you're doing, Grammy," remarked Alfred. "Mamma is one of those prisoners." "Of course we do, boy. Just look at my crack team. We're in our prime. Hurrah!" chimed the old ladies together. Their prime looked a while ago, but the prince said nothing. He wouldn't help. "Enid," called out the old Queen. "Yes, Captain," she replied. "You are coming with me and my boy. And Agatha." "Do I have to?" complained Agatha. "Yes. Now, ladies." Alfred gave his grandmother a look. "And gentlemen, follow me." The ladies picked up their handbags. What do the old dears need their handbags for? Thought Alfred. Next, Grammy grabbed a rusty old torch, then led the other 3 up the metal ladder and out of the submarine. The 4 of them stood wobbling on the bow of the vessel, as it gently rocked in the swell of the Thames. Alfred looked up at the clock tower and took a deep breath. After all the bravado with the old ladies, he was beginning to feel sick with nerves. "You Tixie-boo boy?" asked the old Queen. "Yes, Captain, ready for action," he lied. She swung a rope with a hook at the end of it, back and forth a few times. Then with all her might she threw it high into the air. Whoosh! The end hooked onto a ledge of the House of Parliament. Clunk! Grammy checked it was secure. Then, looking smug with her handiwork, she hissed, "Still got it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, follow me." One by one, the 3 old dears used the rope to scale the river wall. Agatha put her walking stick between her teeth like a pirate might put a cutlass as she climbed. Alfred went last, and before long the group found themselves inside the deserted chamber of the Royal House of Commons. The prince had seen pictures of the palace in his history books. In the old days it was crowded with politicians. Now it had been ransacked. Windows had been smashed, and those distinctive green leather benches had been ripped. and the speaker's chair upturned. When Alfred looked down to the floor, he realised something was very wrong. "The carpet," he whispered, "is moving." The old queen answered, "Rats." The sea of rats was rolling over the floor, thousands of them. "Let's get out of here," whispered the boy. Grammy checked her little gold watch. "We have 10 minutes until midnight. Move out!" She gestured with her hand, and Enid and Agatha, who had been catching their breath, followed on. They passed down hallway after hallway in the Houses of Parliament. Everywhere they stepped, rats scattered. Scratch, scratch, scratch. No one said a word until the old queen walked straight into what she thought was a net. "Help!" she cried. She had become tangled up in something that hung from one side of the wall to the other. It was only when the other three began untangling her they realised what it was. "A spider's web," said Alfred as he pulled the cobwebs off his grandmother. "No one had been down here for years," muttered the old queen, brushing a giant spider over her shoulder as if it were a fleck of dandruff. "Onwards!" They pressed on, illuminated by the old rusty torch she was holding. As they neared a turn in the hallway, she placed her finger to her lips. "What does that mean?" asked Enid. "Be quiet, dear," replied Agatha. "Shh!" shushed Alfred. "Oh!" exclaimed Enid. "Are we nearly there yet? I need a wee." "Shh!" shushed everyone. Then the old queen flicked the switch on her torch and turned off the light. Flick. As slowly and silently as she could, she peered round the corner. Alfred did too. In the distance, shadows could be made out. On closer inspection, these were the silhouettes of 2 royal guards. They were guarding the door to the clock tower. The old queen gently rolled her torch along the floor towards them. Clank, clank, clink. The 2 guards stepped towards the torch and peered down to inspect it. The old queen gave the signal, and the 2 old ladies knew exactly what to do. Enid and Agatha charged towards the guards. "Charge!" They whacked them over their heads with their handbags. Thwack, thwack, thwack. That's why they needed their handbags. With the guards dazed and confused, Enid and Agatha attempted to wrestle the laser guns off them. In the commotion, blasts of light shot from their guns, hitting the walls and ceiling. Zap, zap, zap. Boom! Agatha must have been hit. Zap! As she collapsed to the floor in an instant. Thud. The old queen grabbed one of the guards from behind and trained his laser gun to the other. Alfred did the same, and in glorious moment 2 guards zapped each other. Zap, zap! And fell to the floor. Thud, thud. Immediately, attention turned to Agatha. "Agatha? Agatha!" asked the old queen, as she began slapping the old dear around the face. Wake up! Oh dear, please, you're only 92. This isn't your time to go." Slap, slap, slap. But slap as she might, Agatha just wouldn't wake up. Tears welled in the old queen's eyes as she realised the worst. Chapter 35. The opposite of vertigo. The old queen led a prayer. "May our Lord take good care of this fallen hero. My lady-in-waiting Agatha was always there for me to hold an unwanted bouquet of flowers, or pass me a bottle of hand cream, or take the blame for one of my particularly boisterous bottom burps." As she tried to lay her friend to rest by closing her eyelids, Agatha woke up with a start. "You poked me in the eye," she protested. "You're alive!" exclaimed the old queen. "Yes, of course I'm alive. Now, for goodness sake, help me up." Alfred, Enid and the old queen hoisted Agatha to her feet. "Actually, I'm feeling a little bit dizzy. Can I lie back down again?" "There isn't time," snapped the old queen. "Alfred." "Yes, Grammy." "Search the guards for keys." With all his strength, Alfred rolled one of the guards over and found a set of old iron keys on his belt. "Here," he said, holding them up. Jingle jangle. "Excellent work," she replied, and her grandson beamed with pride. The old queen and Enid held on to the laser guns as Alfred led them to the door at the end of the hallway. It bore the sign Clock Tower. Alfred put a key in the lock to the door, and success! Click! The door opened. Alfred tiptoed inside. Whatever the opposite of vertigo is, the boy instantly felt it as he looked up at the endless flight of stairs that led to the bell. There were 342 steps. He would never have been able to climb that many steps before, but now, somehow, it felt possible. He surged ahead, and with heavy hearts the old dears followed him. They had to go as quietly as they could, as it was likely there would be more armed guards stationed higher up the tower. Nearing the top, they passed the giant clock face. It looked as big as the moon, and as bright as it too. Illuminated as it against the inky sky. For a moment, Alfred became lost, marvelling at it, before realising it was only a couple of minutes before 12. There was no time to lose. They pressed on, nearing the room that housed the bell. As predicted, 2 more members of the Royal Guard stood by the door. "Give this to Agatha," whispered Grammy, as she handed her laser gun to him. Alfred fumbled, and the gun slipped out of his hand. As if in slow motion, it began to fall, falling down the stairwell, silently at first, and then inevitably, clunk. Spinning, it hit the balustrade, clunk, and clunk again, until it clattered all the way down to the floor below. Crash! There was an eerie silence for a moment until the Royal Guards above leapt into action, blasting their laser guns down at the intruders. Zap, zap, zap! Chapter 36. Bong. Alfred and the 3 old dears clung to the wall of the clock tower to be out of the firing line of the guards. Zap, zap, zap! Woof, woof, whoosh. A deafening siren sounded. The game was up. "Let's run back to the submarine," shouted Enid over the racket. "We can't," said Alfred. "Never surrender," announced the old Queen. With that, she took the last remaining laser gun from Enid and charged up the stairs with the blaster in her gloved hand. Zap, zap, zap! From below, Alfred watched a combination of horror and awe as first one Royal Guard, then another, plunged down the stairwell. Clunk, clunk, thud, thud. "Onward!" shouted the old Queen, waving the blaster above her head as if it were a sword. "I haven't had this much fun since the man shrieked at the Royal Ascot." Alfred and the 2 ladies in waiting followed, gathering themselves behind the old Queen as she blasted the door to the belfry open. Zap! Kaboom! The smoke cleared to reveal Big Ben in all its glory. This gigantic bronze and tin bell, weighing more than a double-decker bus, was moments from being struck by the giant hammer that made it sound. 4 smaller bells chimed, then the little tune that always came before the bongs. Then the bongs began. Bong! "To the hammer!" commanded the old Queen. Bong! Next to the bell was a huge hammer. Bong! It sat on an arm that reached round the bell. Bong! And strung the bell mechanically. Bong! "How the devil are we going to make it strike 13 times?" asked Enid. Bong! "I think I know a way," replied Alfred. Bong! The boy leaped up and clambered onto the arm. Bong! Immediately he felt how the reverberations were, and began to keep holding on. Bong! His entire body was shaking. Bong! Alfred shuffled down the arm. Bong! "How many bongs was that?" he called out. Bong! 12, replied Granny. "Now!" The boy leapt down to the hammer, forcing all his weight onto it. Bong! Yes, he had done it. Big Ben had struck 13 times. The signal had been given. The time for revolution was now. Alfred beamed from ear to ear, even as his head shook as the sound travelled through him. He leapt off the arm and back onto the platform. "Excellent work, young Prince," exclaimed Grammy, embracing the boy. "Thank you," replied Alfred. "That will have been heard across London. Word will spread throughout this country. The revolution has begun." "Hurrah!" cried out Enid and Agatha. But their celebration was short-lived. The 4 turned round to see they were surrounded by a platoon of Royal Guards pointing their blasters at them. This was the end.